The best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is, what is it? Kind of an overcast Tuesday, and although I have not looked all that close at the weather, it sounds like there might be some stuff moving in. I noticed Vandy has changed their baseball game tonight to a 5 p.m. start, and that probably means they know something radar-wise.
Yeah, scattered showers and thunderstorms until 11 o'clock tonight.
Okay. Let's say hello to Kelly. Kelly Holcomb, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Did you watch the games of importance last night?
I had to get in the bed. I had to be up early, so I did not.
Okay, so listen to this.
How'd you do?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
You get a good laugh out of this. I had the Florida Panthers, who were down 2-1 with 4 minutes left, and then scored 2 goals in the last minute of play. In a 1 minute span, turned a 2-1 deficit into a 4-2 victory. Absolutely did not deserve to win that one.
Oh, wow.
Then I had Golden State minus 3.5 at home against Houston. Final 109-106.
And who said that game?
The dreaded half point.
Billy. Nice prediction, Billy.
What did you say?
Said I didn't think the Warriors game would hit.
Good for you. By a half point. You shouldn't claim that. So I went 1-1 last night, but it was funny, Kelly, because I almost sent you a text. When Florida scored the 2 goals, I almost sent you a text in big letters, Florida Panthers.
You should have.
Now I'm glad I did.
I'd have probably, I don't even know what time it was. I went to sleep at like 9:30 because I had to get up real early this morning. So I went to sleep at like 9:30, like a grumpy old man.
Wow. That's really bad.
Yeah, seriously.
Billy, do you have an update of any substance?
I do. It's a pretty good update today.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kelly, how do you feel about
that? I don't know. We'll just have to listen and watch it and see if Billy's. I mean, we know that Billy is. He gives out false stuff a lot of times, So we just gotta find out where this is going.
Do you think he makes up an update?
I think sometimes he doesn't have enough, and then he just while
adds a little.
I think he. Yeah, I think he just I think he makes stuff up sometimes. I really do. And he's putting false accusations out there all the time. We know how Billy does things, man. We've been around Billy long enough that Billy is fraudulent at times.
Make this one up, Billy. The Braves acquired Dylan Cease.
You'd like that one.
Woo!
All right. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. That roar of the crowd you just heard, the Cleveland Cavaliers just scored again.
Oh my God! So hold on a second. Let's examine how that played out last night. Let's go to the NBA. Cleveland won last night by 55. So it was 43-17 at the end of the first quarter. It was 72-33 at the end of the second quarter, halftime. It was 111-63 at the end of 3 quarters. And just to pile on, Cleveland outscored Miami 27-20 in the fourth quarter. Here's the sad thing. Miami has one of the 2 or 3 best coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Spoelstra knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, a lot of people saying Pat Riley needs to hang it up. What do you think?
Yeah.
Been doing it for a long time, man.
Yeah.
Won a lot of games.
But for the Cavs, they await the winner. It's probably going to be the Pacers, of course. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a good series. And I hope for Garland, and I like Donovan Mitchell too, that they keep winning. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I really do hope they keep winning.
At the end of tonight, when Milwaukee goes down, I think you're going to learn in the next week that there is a Greek on the move, and it ain't me.
Hey, don't y'all think some of these games get outlandish nowadays? Like we're seeing more and more of these 50-point, 55-point,
Yep.
52-point victories, and what is that? What do we relate that to? I mean, is it just the sign of the times where when a team is down in professional sports, they just kind of give up?
I don't know. I mean,
I think there's some truth to that. Now, the NBA is different. You get used to watching these NHL games too much, and the NBA looks like a joke almost sometimes.
well, of course, here's the difference is, if you score a point in hockey in the playoffs, about the max you're going to score is 5.
Yeah.
Okay. In the NBA, we now know that a team in the playoffs can get to 138. There is a parity in the NHL in the opening round that the NBA doesn't have. Pure and simple.
So that's what you had last night. Also, tonight, of course, Vandy's game against Indiana State has been moved to a 5 o'clock first pitch. You can hear that right at 5 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan. It was originally set for 6, but was moved up an hour due to rain and thunderstorms. If you're going and you get there early enough, you'll come away with a Kumar Rocker bobblehead. So giving away some Rocker bobbleheads tonight. Also, in college football, Vandy landed a commitment from 4-star defensive back Caden Harris. He's the number 3 player in the state of Tennessee for the class of 2026. He chose the Commodores over Georgia, Notre Dame, Missouri, and Auburn.
Where is he in high school?
He's at Haywood High School in Brownsville, Tennessee.
Okay. Gotcha.
So Clark Lee and Barton Simmons, that's probably the biggest get they've gotten up to this point. And
wow.
So keep an eye on him. And of course,
awesome.
if he ends up signing, he'll be the second highest rated signee in program history, according to 24/7 Sports. So you've got that. Also, Tennessee is continuing their best stretch of season ticket sellouts at Neyland Stadium this century. They've sold out their 70,500 season tickets for the 3rd straight year and the 4th time in the past 24 years. They had a 98% renewal rate.
That's strong.
And a waiting list of nearly 24,000. You wonder if they go 7-5 this year, does that change a little bit?
I don't know. When I was at Memphis State, we played in the Mid-South Coliseum, which held 11-2. And there was always there's a waiting list. Well, we found out down there that
might have been some false accusations.
Maybe not.
Also,
it's a long time ago.
Some golf news for Kelly. Brandt Snedeker has been named captain of the U.S. team for next year's President's Cup in September at Medina Country Club in Illinois. And if you remember, back in 2013, he represented the U.S. team at Muirfield Village in Dublin for the President's Cup. So good for Brandt. I know he's starting to get back to playing and getting back healthy. And I know last time we talked to him, George, he had some back issues. So in dealing with some of that, but it looks like he's getting back to being a little bit more healthy.
Yeah, I want good health for him. He is a really good human being. Period.
Yeah. Was that his injury, his back?
That's what I remember him talking about.
Yeah. Of course, if you go into anything medical, then I get lost. I've got a back injury. I've got an arm injury. If you get to metatarsals and, you're going
infraspinatus and all that, you have no clue?
I don't have a clue. I'm not sure I want to know. Whatever that last one was sounds very serious.
Shoulder, man. Shoulder. We got so many things going on in our shoulder. It's kind of crazy. And I had shoulder surgery. And anybody that has shoulder surgery, you don't want it.
So what's the name of it?
It's called an infraspinatus. There's like 5 things.
Infrasternators?
Yes, there's like 5 tendons that hold all this together where you can move your arm in all these different directions, and one of them messes up. Oh, it's no good. And then I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, which kind of sucked.
So if you get that, you have 6 months to live.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Wow.
Okay, we got some NFL news. 49ers tight end George Kittle has signed an extension through the 2029 season. It includes $40 million in guaranteed money, and it will almost certainly lower his previously scheduled salary cap number for this year of $22 million.
So he lives here.
If
does. You run into him, see if you can get a loan.
Have they done anything with Brock Purdy yet, Billy? No?
They're getting close, is what I'm hearing. They have not confided a lot in me, but I'm told they're getting close.
No, they have not.
No.
We've got an interesting move here. J.K. Dobbins and Elijah Moore have received the rare undrafted free agent tenders. So Dobbins and Moore, they received. I didn't even.
UFA.
Yeah,
is that Octagon?
Not undrafted.
Is that the Octagon?
Yeah,
unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
Yes.
That's not a unrestricted free agent tender from the Chargers and the Browns, respectively. Kelly, you don't hear that anymore very often. But Dobbins, I mean, he's a guy the Chargers you'd like to keep.
Well,
you would think so.
Didn't they just sign somebody that
they
I
drafted?
can't remember.
They drafted Amarion Hampton, actually, from North Carolina.
I think there's somebody else he's talking about.
Yeah, I think there's somebody else that they got, which I'm not totally sure. Don't quote me on that, because I don't want to send out false stuff, Billy, like you do a lot of times.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure. Let's be factual about it.
You working on that Dylan Cease story?
Yep.
Good.
As we speak. We've got early bracketology for next season. Vanderbilt is a projected 8 seed. Tennessee projected 3 seed.
Wow.
So 8.
It's a little early.
It is a little early, but
we're not to May.
Interesting to see that Lenardi's got Vanderbilt in.
Maybe we need to have him on again.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Does he? I mean, he does this all year round.
That might be an assignment for you.
Because as I remember, George said that Vanderbilt couldn't do it year in and year out.
No, hold on. What I have said is that Kevin Stallings had the best run of anybody by a mile.
Correct.
7 appearances in 17 years. So there is nothing in their DNA that says they can get there every year. I hope I'm wrong. Would love to be wrong, but we got to be truthful. We can't make up stuff in the update.
No, certainly not. By the way, the running back, Najee Harris for the Chargers.
That's right.
Najee Harris.
That's it.
That's it.
Saw this the other day. Florida's DJ Lagway has resumed throwing after resting his ailing right shoulder throughout Gator spring practice. He posted a couple of videos on social media yesterday of him making some throws at a training facility. He was working out with Brock Purdy, Anthony Richardson, and Gardner Minshew, actually. That's the kind of a guy they need, Kelly. And he, you don't want to be.
What did he do, Billy?
He reported shoulder soreness in the offseason. It carried over from last year. So he was limited in spring, and then he played just 5 snaps in their spring game. So It started with soreness, and now he's trying to get back to full health.
I was kind of sketchy on him when he first came in, but just watching him, because he was a freshman, because just watching him, he's a big kid. And then the other day, Graham Mertz, he got drafted by somebody. I don't know who it was, but the kid that was in front of him that came from Wisconsin got drafted, which I didn't see it from Graham Mertz. But hey, he looks the part, he is the part. But DJ Lagway, he kind of impressed me towards the latter part of the season. He really did. He's a big kid. He can move around. He's got a rocket for an arm, and I've had those shoulder problems, man. That's not fun.
Yeah, the Texans got Graham Mertz, actually. So
did they? Yeah.
Yeah. And on Lagway, in that room, Harrison Bailey, if you remember, former Tennessee quarterback, is the backup right now. So Harrison Bailey.
Oh, wow.
So he's still
Well, there's a name out of the past.
I wondered where he went to because he got recruited by Jeremy Pruitt a long time ago. He was a 7-on-7 king, and then he went there, and it just didn't work out. And I wondered if he had gone anywhere, but he's a backup at Florida.
Yeah, started at Tennessee, went to UNLV in Louisville, and now he's down at Florida.
So, Billy, I'm assuming that's it.
That's it.
Okay, let me tell you what we got going on today. First, Tony Basilio will join us in a matter of a couple of moments. At the top of the 4 o'clock hour, we will meet Belmont's tennis coach. He got that school into the NCAA tournament. It's a story that hadn't gotten a lot of reporting, and we're going to do a little bit. We're going to learn a little bit. And then, Kelly, at 4:15 today, I'm going to discuss my visit to Titan House today.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Did
you keep your mouth shut or did you run your mouth?
I ran my mouth.
Stupid question.
And Kelly, I have notes from the visit. I will be using some notes to discuss what it was like.
Is there a lot of folks there, George?
There were some. I don't really know. You know, they take you to different rooms.
I wish I would have known that. Could I have gone with you?
That would have been really interesting.
If you would have told me that, I wish I could have gone with you because I wouldn't have said anything. I'd have just liked to heard your mouth.
Let's just say this. We're in a stalemate.
Stalemate, huh?
Stalemate.
Did you make your opinions known?
You're damn right I did. We'll go to the break on that. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Manufacturing and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegretta, voice of Vanderbilt baseball. Hope you can join us all weekend long from Hawkins Field. It's a massive SEC showdown. Number 15 Vanderbilt, number 18 Alabama. All three games starting on Friday. 102.5 The Game.
Vanderbilt Athletics lives here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So if you listened to the show last week when Tony Basilio was on, and by the way, if you're new and don't know it, Tony Basilio is a longtime Knoxville sports talk show host who has done great things up there, both with his work on the air and the charitable work as well. So he came on last week and really got us behind the curtain of Tennessee and exactly how their NIL has worked. Tony, as always, thank you for the visit.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Were they ahead of like 95% of schools in figuring out, hey, this is the real deal? And who speared on the, hey, we got to get on because this is serious?
I think it was a handful of boosters, and they identified a guy by the name of James Clausen here, who's done an excellent job of facilitating what goes on here. And, you know, it has really been a serious winter, George, for Tennessee. And it's interesting now because several years later, it feels like this has been with us longer than it has. And we're still in its infancy. And this thing is getting ready to metastasize, as we all know, in the 2-bucket rev share thing that many schools have opted into. And so, you know, how this plays out is going to be really interesting going forward. But yeah, if you'll remember, A&M that first year, they jumped in there. I guess the first time I heard the term collective was around A&M, but then Tennessee quickly jumped into it to the point where the folks like, I want to say over at On3, crowned Tennessee's collective early on as the number one in the country. I don't know where they would be right now, but I would say they're still pretty high up the food chain.
Are they getting theirs in little bits from a lot of places, or is it 5 or 10 J.R. Ewing wannabes who have more money than they know what to do with?
George, I think at most of these schools, it's the same people that used to help you in the dark money days are the same people that are helping you now. They're just paying more money now for players.
Yeah. So you had incredible info a week ago. I'm hitting you with this one cold. Do you have a sense of what Aguilar got? Aguilar, I hope I'm saying it right.
Mm-hmm.
How much money he got out of this?
Yeah, he got about $1.2 million. And he was going to make about $700,000 from UCLA, living in Los Angeles, where the cost of living is 75% more than here. I feel kind of sorry for that kid, George, because at the end of the day, that's a Los Angeles kid, or a California kid, I should say, that wanted to go back home and play his final year of college football. And he did nothing to get thrown overboard, but that's the era we're in. I tell you this, he is going to be, if he can play it all, if this guy can fog up a mirror, he is going to be a hero here, a absolute hero. The people at On3 just put out a post-spring ranking, and they had Tennessee number 21. That, to me, connotes a 9-3 season. If Tennessee goes 9-3, adding a quarterback that won't get on your campus till late May, early June at the earliest, that will be coach of the century material in this league. If they go 9-3 this year and do that. And this guy will be a hero forevermore here if that plays out, if it plays out that way. And quite frankly, I'm rooting for the kid because, you know, cheering for Nico and UCLA at this point is like cheering for the dark side.
The Russians.
Something like that. Yeah. Communist Russia.
CCCP. So let me get both of y'all in on this one. So he gets to campus 3 months before the start of the season. How dummied down do you have to go offensively to make it work? Because, Kelly, you know it. Tony, I'm guessing you're hearing it. Y'all talk to me about this.
Kelly, how come when George uses the phrase dummy down, he brings you into the conversation? What was that?
I don't know. It's probably because he thinks I am a dummy. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I was pretty smart when it came to football. Now other things, maybe not so much. But I don't know, George.
Why do you think Tony brought that up, Kelly? It seems
I don't know,
like
because you know how Tony's always throwing shade to me. Like, he don't think I'm smart enough to see the shade that he throws to me. You know what I'm saying?
I love you, man.
I'm not your guy. Watson's your guy. Watson's always your guy. You have Watson on your show. I mean, it is what it is. You're always throwing shade.
Watson's his daddy.
I love Watson Brown.
I don't, George. George, I don't know. I mean, some guy, like, you just got to get in there. He's got to be in there constantly, though. And the bad thing about it is he didn't get any work on the field. That's the stuff that you miss. Like, you can understand, but like, now you've got to go out there and you've got a new team, you've got new calls to be made. You might be in a totally different offense, which he probably is, where maybe a little bit more is on the quarterback of, and I don't know if this happens. I'm just saying, this is kind of for example, but he might have to change protections. He might have to change routes on the field, but he's got to get in there. He's got to learn the offense, and then he's got to get out there with the receivers, and he's got to get some continuity with those guys, the tight ends, and he's got to learn all that stuff. It's a tough deal what he's having to go through right now, but hey, he's $1.2 million happy. That's for sure.
Well, and really, this Nico thing did a couple things. It got Jake Merklinger 2 raises, because what Tennessee did is, the week that they knew the Nico thing, they had an inclination the Nico thing was going to blow up. And this is a real look-see into how you manage rosters on the fly these days. And the way you manage rosters on the fly these days is you have to be proactive. Tennessee had a feeling that the Nico thing was going to blow up. And so what they did is they went to Merklinger and they gave him a raise. And he was like, "Oh, thanks. You gave me a raise." Now, they didn't tell him why they were giving him a raise, or it's like, "We're giving you a raise."
Billy, you got a raise once.
Yeah, Bill, you work in radio. You're not getting a raise. So the second thing, then he gets an agent, and he agitates. He's going to leave. You know, because that's what these guys. Everybody does that now, and it's nothing personal, but that's the way the game's played. That's what coaches have been doing for years. I'm just agitate, and I'm going to leave. So He got another raise. So he's gotten himself 2 raises in like 2 weeks, and again, I'm still working in radio, and nobody's in my life. Nobody's ever given me a raise. I mean, I guess I don't deserve one. So there is that.
Are you thinking of trying this?
I might.
Yeah, well, don't.
Yeah, you ought to, but you need a suitor, Billy. You need
that's where you come in.
A guy that appears on here maybe on Tuesday afternoons. You got to play. You got to play the game.
So last week, you gave us some info that I about fell out of the chair, and it involved the kid Nate Ament and the fact that he got a mint like $4 million. And you told us that Tennessee had two other guys that they were on the hook with for a while, and they were prepared to go $11 million total. My jaw dropped.
I know the second guy in the midst of all that was the Rice kid, who was the running mate of Gillespie at Maryland this year. And Rice and his father came here and had an incredible visit, George. And the highest Tennessee would go, the highest they would go for him was about 1.7, 1.8. He called him up and said, hey, look, out here at USC, and they've got the coach that used to be at Arkansas, Musselman. And you know what these guys have done, these basketball coaches? They get one or two boosters that will spend tons and tons of money. And in a place like Los Angeles, it's easy to find an alum that loves hoops. The guy at UCLA's done it, and now he's recruiting great players. He's got like a $10 million pledge. Rick Pitino did it in New York City with a guy that gave him like a blank check up to like $13 million. And these schools are spending like drunken sailors. So Rick Barnes got a call from the Rice kid who said, look, they've offered me $3.2 million, but I want to give you a chance because I really want to come play for you. And Rick Barnes said, look, man, you could come play here for 1.9, but I'm not paying you $3.2 million. We're not paying you that. So, and Barnes, unlike a lot of these coaches, George, is very mindful of, I'm not going to ask you to room with a guy that you played with here who gave us a hometown discount, and then I'm going to turn around and pay you a lot more money right under this kid's nose. And I like the fact some of these coaches are like see nothing, feel nothing, know nothing. I think Heupel's like that when it comes to the money side of this. And some of these coaches are right in the middle of it. I almost think today you almost have to be right in the middle of it monetarily. You almost have to be.
Yeah, otherwise you have no idea what all the periphery noise is. And
well, they try and, like Heupel's thing is just trying to play dumb, but the kids know that and the kids all know. Right. The one thing that Watson Brown talks about, and he's right, he said back in the day in the old Southwest Conference days, those guys all knew what they got in recruiting. Isn't that true, Kelly? They would all sit around and say, hey, I got this. Kelly's like, I'm got a hot shot quarterback. They gave me whatever they gave me. And again, I'm back to this. Nobody ever gave me anything.
I got a car.
There you go. If you don't think those kids are talking to each other behind the scenes, they're all talking to each other.
They're
all
all
that's right, Kelly, on those teams. They all know.
Yeah, they're all getting together in somebody's dorm room, and one tries to top the other, and it's not always truthful info.
Absolutely.
That's why I just wonder how the game's going to stay that way, because there's so much animosity now going on in these locker rooms that, like,
right,
hey, you're getting this, I'm playing better than you, why aren't I getting this? And then you're going to get a constant flow of guys going into the coach's offices saying, why am I not getting this and he's getting this and I'm out playing him and he's not even playing?
That's the point. And that is, at the end of the day, and that's kind of where Barnes was, Another thing, Barnes lost another guy, George, last week, a kid from Connecticut who's a 5-star player. Connecticut kind of recruited over him. And so, he came in across Tennessee's radar. And the kid said to Barnes, I want to start. Barnes said, that's good for you. Good for you. He said, you come into camp, win a job, you start. No, he said, no, I want your word. I'm going to start. Barnes said, I ain't telling you that. I've never seen you play basketball. I'm not telling you that you're going to start. If you walk in here and earn a starting job, you'll start. It's pretty old school. A lot of coaches, Kelly, would have lied to the guy to get him. A lot of coaches would have lied to him.
Yeah, but that's when I think that you got to do what Rick Barnes did. You got to sit him down. You got to say, I don't know anything about you. I don't know what you can do on the court. Like, I've seen you on tape, but that doesn't mean that you've been in my system. You've been in college. But I don't know what you can do. But, like, don't you think that would be better for coaches? That's how I would be. I couldn't do what, like you just said, like all these other coaches lie, because you hear so many stories of all these coaches lying to kids now. And I just couldn't be that way. I'd have to look at him and say, hey, if you earn the starting job, you'll get paid and you'll play and you'll be a starter.
I wouldn't fool with half these people. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just like, some of the stuff I hear from some of these guys that are in the middle of this. And I'm telling you, the next step in this thing, you guys mark this down. Nico broke a seal on high-profile guys leaving in the spring. That's not the end of that. That's not the end of it. But the next one's going to be a guy gets to camp this summer, a quarterback, and walks up to a coach and says, I want my money. But we're already paying you. Yeah, I know. But I want more. And by the way, you can't replace me now. And by the way, you don't have contract. And by the way, what I signed doesn't matter. And by the way, you're not going to claw back the money from me that I've already been paid. So I want my money. Until these people admit what, you know what I mean? Because George, until these people admit what they're doing and admit this is professional sports, this is what's going to happen to them. They've left themselves wide open for this.
That's exactly what's going to happen because Nico wasn't the guy. Nico wasn't there yet. He probably shouldn't. We all think he should not have done that, but we all know the father and all that. But like somebody's going to come home or somebody's going to come up that's like a Patrick Mahomes and is really good. And he understands. He looks around. He looks at the lot. He looks in his position meetings. Is like, none of these dudes can play like me. So that's what's going to happen. He's going to hold out. And Nico was just the first. He wasn't the guy, but at some point, some high-profile guy that can play, that's going to be like a Patrick Mahomes type, and he's going to hold them hostage. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, you can see it coming. I'm telling you, I talk to coaches who tell me that is the next shoe that's going to drop. And the minute it does, watch all the copycats. Because unless they belly up to the bar and collect a bargain with these kids like they need to, give them whatever they're going to give them, however they're going to structure it. I do not understand. Well, I guess I do understand it because they're getting away with it for now. But George, back to what you were asking me about collectives before from coast to coast. I think it's the super rich funding this. The super rich at some point are going to get burned out on this because there's only one championship at the end of the year. There's only one conference championship, and there's only 12 playoff spots. And by my estimation, there's probably 30 to 35 schools that are endeavoring to chase this thing. So that leaves a good 20 to 25 uber rich, super boosters, you name it, that feel very disillusioned. And even here at Tennessee made the playoff last year, but people were kind of disillusioned after Ohio State walked the dog on them in that playoff game. It didn't feel, I mean, this offseason been kind of weird, but it hasn't felt like we're coming off a playoff berth here. It's been very strange.
Kelly,
tell me
he has never spoken more truth than in that particular soundbite.
Oh, there's no doubt. But tell me this, like, y'all talk about money, and you talk about, and George just brought it up. You brought it up last week that Rick Barnes was willing to go $11 million to get certain guys. Like, is this just a free for all with all this money? Like, what is UT? Like, just take UT for example. You're in there. You're in the midst of it. Like, what are they willing to go to get all these kids? Like, is it an unlimited amount of money before they put a salary cap on this stuff?
Where are they not willing to go? Did you think we would go from $2.8 million 2 years ago, Tennessee's basketball payroll, to $11 million?
Gosh.
Arkansas is going to spend $15 million. Kentucky's going to spend between $15 and $20 million. And I like that, George. I'm going to co-op that. I'm going to give you attribution twice on Nate Ament. And then I'm going to start calling this kid Nate Ament. And listen, I hope for his sake he's a good player, because the minute you bring one of these guys in here that can't play, the fans are going to be all over him.
Yeah.
I mean, all over him.
Yeah.
Amended line shooting 2. His salary is 4.2.
Exactly.
Yeah, and now what you've opened up to is, I've always hated, and I understand that people are paying customers in their tickets, but when they boo young men that are trying to make their way, but now you've opened the door, so y'all are exactly right. When you're paying a guy $2 or $3 million a year, it's just like professional sports, and he's an 18-year-old kid. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
It's a $4 million. And by the way, he's a really great kid. His father's a minister. His mother survived a genocide in Rwanda. I don't know if I told you guys that last week, but his backstory, if you guys want to read up on it, I think The Athletic did something on him when he was first on the recruiting trail. If you Google it, it will literally give you chills the way they met. And this kid, by all accounts, is a beautiful kid, and he's supposed to be a really high-end player. But again, if he doesn't take to it right away, it's hard on these guys. It is really hard on these guys in this day and age.
What is
Billy,
what, George? Last
go
word.
ahead.
Sorry. What is the? And let's go back to football. What is the fallout from Nico? Are the people happy? Are fans happy? Were they ready to move on? Or do they want him? But like, I know they don't want him back. But like, what has the fallout been from Nico? Any?
I just think people are ready to heal, and we're really tired of that chapter.
Yeah. Okay.
Would be the way I would put it. But this thing is disillusioning. It's not good. It's not good for these sports. George and I, we talk on the phone, talk about, memories and growing up and loving like sports radio when we were kids, and you could not wait to put the headphone on or to sit behind the microphone because sports were like fantasy land back then. They're not like that now. Listen, I would love to go back to the days of, they bought that kid. Now everybody's buying everybody again, and I'm not getting any of that money. So, but that's a recurring theme here. Billy, you're looking good, man.
Thanks, Tony. You too. All of a sudden,
thanks for lying.
Date. He got a date later on, Tony.
Shut up, Kelly. All of a sudden, we've got an entertaining Tennessee Vandy series, I think, here in a couple of weeks in Knoxville. Tennessee outside the top 10. Vandy's been hovering around the top 10. That series in LSU, though, the Vols were close. I mean, that Friday game to be up 3-0 and to boot the ball around and lose 6-3, that was the series there. You didn't feel – and for them to come back that next night and win it, though, it was impressive. What did you take from that weekend in Baton Rouge?
They led for 17 and a half innings and lost, baseball game. And the kid on third base made two just egregious errors. And, Billy, that it happened at 2:00 in the morning, and then I happened to be looking at it. Only compounded things because I couldn't get to bed till like 4:30 or 5. And, the thing about baseball is, and our fans are starting to kind of realize this because it was fantasy land here, how much Tony Vitello has won in the last 4 years. Now, look, they've had years where they've taken their lumps and they've had to fight on the road and have had some uneven times. Billy, I can still remember you and your cohort doing that baseball podcast where you referred to Tony as everything but Satan. And you were declaring that you guys were going to come in here and blow Tennessee's doors off. It was almost 2 years ago, Billy. I was driving through upstate New York going to one of my son's golf tournaments, and you were really carrying on, man. I mean, I love you, but I mean, you were like borderline embarrassing yourself. And you really need, Billy, to get back on there. You need to just do a redux. Just bring that thing back for 1 week and just all the animosity, just bring it all to the fore, man, because we really need some mojo here in these
I
parts.
don't think it helped you with the resume.
No.
I mean, it was like,
I loved it. No.
I have a feeling that got to the
look how red Kelly is.
I
awesome, dude. I loved every moment of that.
Hey, he called him everything but an Italian. I mean, the things coming out of little Billy's mouth, I was just like, whoa, where did that come from? Where did that?
Oh, gosh.
I loved it, Billy.
Did you call him Satan?
I did not. No, that's a little too far. But I have a feeling that got back to Tennessee's team somehow, some way.
Well, I mean, I sent him a link, if that's what you're asking. He loves stuff like that.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
Well, here's a couple
beautiful.
weeks.
But I'll tell you, Kelly, I mean, guys, this thing is interesting, Billy. This baseball season's really gotten interesting here because, they run rolled and no hit Texas A&M that one night on a Friday, and since then, they've lost 3 of their 4 series. They went on and lost that series. They've lost 3 out of 4. They've looked kind of human doing it. They've lost to a mid team, a pretty good team, and a great team. They've lost 2 at home, 1 on the road, and that's not where you want to be heading at this time of the year. They have 3 series left: Auburn and Vanderbilt back to back at home. and then they've got to go to Arkansas. You do not want to go to Arkansas having to win 2 to get that magical 18 to host throughout. So Tennessee's got to win the next 2 series at home at least.
So this guy is this good, and he is this entertaining. And if you have not listened to him before, shame on you. But let me give you the pathway to do it. Tony, how can they hear you in Middle Tennessee, even though you're based in Knoxville?
Yeah, it's real easy. tclub.team, tclub.team, and tclub.team. And by the way,
Yes.
I like that word pick, and I think the Titans had a really good draft over the weekend. I really do.
It's certainly better than what we've been used to, and so let's keep our fingers crossed.
Better than years past, I promise.
I think that was a really solid draft, and you know, if anybody that was going to jump into the Shedeur Sanders to bed with him, it would be the Cleveland Browns, because that Andrew Berry and that head coach up there, when they showed them in that war room after they made that pick, it looked like a hostage video. Those two guys look like they wanted to be anywhere. And Jimmy Haslam's over there walking around. You know, he's all proud as a peacock. And those two guys were like, oh, boy.
George said something yesterday, and I believe this. George said something yesterday. They were probably told to pick him.
No doubt. Did you see those two guys?
Yeah. The NFL asked him to do it to end all that talk.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
I'll tell you what, guys, that kid falls under the category of serious league. Playing a serious position is not for unserious people. It's pretty much that simple. People want to make that about what they want to make it about. That is a serious league and the most serious position in a serious league. And if you're not a serious person, you don't need to be playing quarterback in that league. Period.
Don't take a FaceTime call when you're meeting with the teams.
Amen. Amen,
Tony,
my man.
You are the best.
Thank you, guys.
Love it.
Thank
he
you.
is so
Love
good.
you.
Tony Basilio joining us from Knoxville for his weekly visit. So where do we go from here? Trust me,
idea.
We'll go somewhere when we come back. Reaction to this interview on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com. flatrockmotorclub.com.
A lot of
people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
This is a quick segment. Especially if Kelly isn't in the picture. Do we think he is? Oh, look at this. For those of you watching by way of podcast, that's so unprofessional.
Pit stop. I know it's pit stop, man. Sorry.
Okay. So this is going to be a short segment. What was your single biggest take out of all that stuff he put out there?
The thing that I can't get over with is the money, George, that's coming in these college and universities, man. I don't understand how it could sustain itself. And I think he said it like, and you say it all the time, but what's going to happen when the J.R. Ewings of the world have given all this money, but there's only one championship at the end of the year, and they all want a championship, and they're all using this money because they want some prestige and they want to be recognized as being one of the donors to the national champion, So, like, I just don't see how it can sustain itself, George. And I'm going to say it again. I really feel like at some point the consumer is the one that's going to handle all this, because when all these big billionaires, millionaires get tired of doing it, who's gonna be? It's the ones like I had lunch with a guy today that's one of my neighbors. It's a good friend of mine, and he's a UT grad, but he's done with all the stuff with the uptick in ticket prices. He's done with all that. And I had one guy at church the other day. I told y'all this a couple of days ago, but he said, what I used to buy for 4 tickets now, I can't get 2. The 2 that I buy now are more expensive than the 4 I used to buy. So I don't know where the money's going. It's just outrageous. And you got a place like UT who's got gobs of it, Alabama's of the world, all these other places. Like, until they get a salary cap on this stuff, like, you can spend as much as you want.
It's a sad state of affairs.
It really is.
But what really is going on in the early stages of NIL, if we're being honest, the schools that got out ahead of it, and Tennessee was clearly one of them. I think Ole Miss was one of them. The guy that heads theirs up, Walker Jones, is a buddy of mine, very sharp guy. The ones that got out in front of it are the early leaders in the clubhouse. Now, where it goes from here, God only knows.
I think if you're Tennessee, you got to learn from this. Because I've heard that Tennessee's reputation in the NIL world is big money, but they'll pay big money. They may not spread it around as much. They'll pay big money for one guy. They did it with Nico. They just did it with Nate Ament, $4 million. That's a rarity. I mean, you got Duke but that's not the norm to pay a kid $4 million. There's only so many schools that are able to do that. Tennessee's one of them. So they got to learn from this and probably get in a room. Like we heard about Aguilar, he's making 1.2. Nico was making 2.5, or he was at least set to make 2.5 this year. So, maybe they make adjustments and round everybody up and say, hey, we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing it. We can still continue to pay guys, maybe spread it around a little bit more and be a little bit more strategic, as opposed to maybe paying bukus for just one guy, because the Tennessee's reputation is attached to kids that are looking for big money deals. Yeah. And not that they're bad kids, but that's what I've learned a little bit about the Nico situation in Tennessee, that they've got a lot of money, but that comes with a price at times. And you saw it with Nico.
Yeah. What do? Throw in some extra Kroger digital coupons?
Starbucks.
Thank you.
Food City.
Thank you. Okay, here's a story that has not gotten a lot of attention, I'm going to sort of tease it a little bit. Belmont University's men's tennis team will face Auburn in the Columbus Regional of the 2025 NCAA men's tennis tournament. That's Saturday, early in the morning from the Tucker Tennis Center up in Columbus at their regional. After the break, we will hear from Belmont's tennis coach and ask the question, how did it happen? And what league do you play in? And some stuff you may not know about that's not all that NIL related. But you know what? We might all take a deep breath and go, this is really what we want more than all the other. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password, we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
This Mother's Day, give her something that makes life a little easier and her favorite moments even better. Whether she's the family chef, the go-to host, or the queen of cozy movie nights, you'll find a gift she'll love at Electronic Express, from small appliances for quick weeknight meals, to outdoor essentials for effortless entertaining, to smart TVs for the ultimate binge watch session. We've got that. Shop Mother's Day gifts that turn moments into memories, in store or at electronicexpress.com.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I think what we learned as we watched round after round get completed and Shedeur Sanders' name not be called is that his father's influence and those bad interviews that he allegedly had carried a lot of weight. And that when these teams were deciding whether or not Shedeur Sanders was a good fit for them, those outside influences were hugely impactful.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I don't know what's going on with the Aaron Rodgers saga and when we're going to actually find out. But if you're Pittsburgh, you got to be getting a little squirrely there in terms of your quarterback room, not having a guy that you have proof of concept can win in this league at a high level.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. This is Joe and Q.
My mom and dad worked at BART, train system in the Bay Area. Mama Q found me a way to get in there and get an interview. I walked in there. I thought I was Shedeur Sanders. Mama Q's got a great reputation. Pops has got a great reputation. All I got to do is show up and get the job. Mama Q said, hey, what happened to my son in his interview? And they said, well, how much time do you have? I don't know this. I was not in these meetings with Shedeur, but that's the kind of feeling that I get.
Joe and Q, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Earlier on Clinton and Friends.
LeBron Raymond James has lost a step. LeBron Raymond James losing a step is still better than 75% of the players in the NBA. But when the meanest man on the court knows that, and Anthony Edwards, and is literally going after him in a physical manner, this is different. He's 40 years old.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking to Jeff Cero, Belmont men's tennis coach, coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com.
If it's tennis, I'm going Guillermo Vilas. That got a smile out of Jeff. I can see him in the background laughing about that.
It's not tennis.
Okay.
This is NBA. The Cavs demolished the Heat in their series, outscoring them by 122 points, a record. Whose record did they break?
Okay, Kelly, it's bound to be a 1 versus an 8, where the 1 just takes the 8, behind the woodshed. Yes. Yeah. So who got taken to the woodshed? You would think Boston as a 1 might have done it to somebody. By the way, it could be Cleveland back a ways back.
Is this a ways back, Billy, or is this here recently?
It's not too far back.
Not too far back.
I mean, it's in the 2000s.
So Golden State, who would they have taken behind the woodshed? Clearly not Houston last night in a terrific game.
I can't even tell you.
You got one?
I would say, I was thinking the Chicago Bulls back in the day, but I think the games were a lot closer back in the day. So,
and a lot of them back then were best of 5.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the Golden State. I'm thinking like Golden State would be where I would go.
Okay, since we clearly have no clue, show us.
The Nuggets over the Hornets in 2009.
The poor Hornets.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
The Hornets, the lowly Hornets.
Are we now officially into the 4 o'clock hour?
We are.
We welcome all of you back in from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is a very cool story we're going to talk about. Belmont's tennis team has made the NCAA tennis tournament. Jeff Cero is their coach, and in year number 2, he has gotten them there. Let's bring him up. Jeff, did you get a laugh on Guillermo Vilas?
I sure did. That was quite a pull there that you had, George. So that was well done. You know your stuff.
Yeah, I pulled that out of the backside. So did you think in year 2 you could make it happen this quick?
I think when it happened, it surprises you, but we had a lot of confidence in our team, just knowing the guys that we brought in and kind of the caliber that they were capable of it. And it's like I said, like it's one thing to say that you're going to do it, but to actually do it, with a team, we brought in 8 new guys because we had 6 seniors last year. So pretty fresh team, pretty new team, all new starters all the way through. And man, they stepped up and they did their job. That's for sure.
Would it be like men's basketball where whether it's Horizon League or Missouri Valley Conference, the winner and the winner only is likely to get in?
Yeah, I would say that's the case. There's a chance that you could get an at-large bid, but you got to have a pretty good non-conference schedule. It's exactly like basketball in that way.
So, okay, take us through what I think I know, which is just enough to be dangerous, that toward the end of that tournament, that there's a level of tension, even though there's not a lot of TV cameras and it's not on ESPN2, that you can cut the tension with a knife.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think just knowing it comes down to a tournament. And for those that don't know how college tennis works, this isn't your country club sport. It's kind of like WWE with rackets and balls for the most part. You have 7 points that you're competing for with your team. One of the points is a doubles point. So everyone plays 3 double sets. And if you win 2 out of 3, that's 1 point. And that one can really set the tone for the rest of the match. And then you play out the 6 singles matches, and whoever gets to 4 total points first wins the match. And so the energy and the competition is pretty stiff all the way through. We went out, we had actually been battling a good amount of sickness the last 2 weeks. And so we weren't fully healthy. One of our guys was pretty sick and honestly came back on the day of the final. And he was the one that got the clinching point to win our championship as well. And so he put together a crazy effort for us to help win that.
Did you go up there thinking you all could win it, or was there some magic moment where you said, oh my God, this could really happen?
We went up expecting that if we played our best tennis, we could win it. And that had always kind of been my mantra with the guys, that it wasn't just about our opponents, it was about us. And we felt like if we did our best, not only just at the tournament, but all season with practice and development and growing and being humble and weights and conditioning and everything, we did our best. We would give ourselves a great chance to win the regular season in the conference tournament, and our best chance at that. And fortunately, we were put in a situation where we were under pressure and we were able to step up.
Here's a dumb question, but I want to hear it. What's the ride home like after you accomplish that?
Oh, it's all right, man. It's pretty good. I'll tell you what, we had a lot of energy. There was a lot of dancing. There was a lot of celebrating. I will say this, it's pretty fun to walk through an airport wearing all your championship gear. You get a lot of eyes on you, and guys felt like they were on top of the world, like they just won the Super Bowl. And, it's one of the cool things to see your guys just ecstatic over all the work that they put in throughout the season. I was telling myself and my assistant the day before, we believe fully that we could win, but I was just saying, even if we don't, the guys have done such a good job and done things the right way and put themselves in the best position. I was so proud of them. And so I'm glad they got to have this as well too.
Okay. On the dancing part, you, them, or both?
Oh, it's both for sure, man. Like we all put in our work, so we all got to dance a little bit. Now, do they dance better than me? That's a given. So I know that.
Kelly, take over from here. Say hello to Jeff Cero.
How's it going, Kelly?
Coach, how you doing? Hey, congrats.
Thank you.
Hey, I've always wanted to ask this question. I see you've got some foreign players on your team, some international players. How does that work in recruiting? Do you go get those guys? Like, how does that? I know with technology now, you can see things on computer and you can get like tape on guys, but like, how does that work? Do you have to go overseas, or just give me a little bit of how that works?
Yeah, I think back in the day, you would definitely need to go overseas. And I still think there's a place for that for guys if you really want to pursue them. Nowadays, a lot of, international players, they like to use recruiting agencies. And so as a coach, you want to build good relationships with the agents who can vouch on your behalf. And a lot of that gets built through time, just because you get a recruit who comes into your program, they have a great experience, you have a great experience, and then the agent knows that you're a trustworthy coach. And so they'll vouch for you just as much as you'll vouch for yourself when it comes to talking to families and things like that. And then just with the rise of technology, the amount of results that you can see and ratings that are more worldwide, it's a lot easier to gauge a player's level than it ever was before 10 years ago. It's night and day difference.
We have talked so much on this show about all the stuff that's going on in college sports, and this is a really cool story about, about where y'all are and being able to go to the NCAA tournament. But how has the NIL, like, how does that work in tennis? Because, we talk about the big sports, and I know you probably hate that, but like you talk about football, basketball, and baseball, but like, how does that work in tennis? And is it a big concern in the tennis head coaches? Everything that he's got going on, is that a big concern with NIL and trying to get guys money?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of basketball, football at every level. So I'm glued to the TV and I'm glued to the news and sports radio every day. So, no, I think just, one thing with NIL, on one hand, I think, if you're able to get players money to a certain degree and help them in that way, I think, that's a good thing. But I think we see the amounts of money that are being thrown around, and we see the decisions that are being made, by athletes, to stay and to leave for different reasons. But, I just think that at some point, and it's the same thing, I think, as an adult, money isn't everything, even if there's obscene amounts of it. And, it's hard, for an industry like college athletics. One of the reasons I love it, and I think a lot of people love college athletics, is it's an opportunity for athletes to come and to grow and to be challenged, and to go through times where they're really hard pressed and they grow and they become men and women and they're ready for, young adulthood when they're finished. And in some ways, it's almost like it's an inverted process with money in the transfer portal. Well, now it's not about what they can give and grow, and it's more about what they can get, when maybe they're not necessarily ready for those decisions quite yet in their lives. I think it's fair for athletes to a degree, to decide if they need to leave or to stay. But sometimes it's almost feels like at the first sign of trouble, or if there's not an extra $1,000 on their NIL check, that there's no loyalty or they're not going to stay. And it can feel like that can develop something wrong inside of a player. And obviously that's a generalization, but, for us as tennis, coaches, we're not dealing with the same amount of money clearly,
Right.
as football and basketball and some other major sports, but it does affect our industry. And I think, one of the things that I've always wanted to be really good at is, no matter what amount of money, love and belonging is a really important thing that players need from their coaches. And honestly, I still think that with young men, like on my team, that in itself will keep them at a program, because you can't buy that with money at a lot of programs. And so I've seen a lot of coaches really retain players and really grow players because they build, a family and they really invest, but it's healthy and it's emotionally sound, and guys feel like they're growing and that their coach would run through a wall for them just as much as they would run through one for them, if that makes sense.
So let's go through the other thing that's happening in college sports, the transfer portal. Do y'all have as much movement in the transfer portal as other organizations at a school, like football, basketball, baseball?
Yeah, no, we're having like record highs every time it feels like it opens. And, I think similar to, some of the other major sports, with the transition to moving to a kind of window that lasts for 30 days, you just get people packed in there. And I think for smaller schools, that can be a challenge, just because imagine, serving lunch 24 hours a day, and you have these, these big dogs coming in and eating. You can get around them, but if you serve lunch for 1 hour a day, you ain't cutting anyone, when it comes to your pick of the litter. And so I think you have to be wise, about it, and, in terms of who you're talking to and things like that. And I think one of the sentiments that I've heard from a lot of coaches, not just at Belmont, but in general, is that because it's such a tight window and you got to get players, the demand is so high that the demand from players for money just goes through the roof. And so you're almost like, this person's asking for this amount of money, but they wouldn't even play in the lineup and things. So you're seeing almost like an inflation kind of thing happening in terms of the demand and the performance.
Jeff, let me end it this way. You see from time to time in the NCAA basketball tournament, the little guy rolls in, and the little guy isn't used to 18,000 people in an arena and not used to a lot of, this is the big time. You're going to kind of have that Saturday at Ohio State. That is the big time. Mm-hmm. You worry about that at all? Do you talk about, hey, it's the same as Cleveland State, or it's the same as whoever? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, great question. One thing I like to do is intentionally schedule a pretty robust schedule. We had 5 Power 4 schools on our non-conference, as well as a couple other really difficult schools that were mid-majors that did very well. And, we play those matches on the road. So, we played UT Knoxville, we played Vanderbilt, we played Louisville, we played Ole Miss, we played Auburn, actually. Auburn was our last loss before we went on our winning streak. And I think, with a team of newer guys, I want to be intentional at getting them an opportunity to play in different environments, but also create an expectation that, you can play with these guys and you can win against these guys, and teach them how to kind of deafen out that white noise of just walking into their building. And, we've had a lot of success. I think we had a really good chance to beat Louisville. We won the doubles point against Auburn, and we actually beat Memphis, who was number 44 in the nation at that time. And so these guys are not afraid, and I think going into the environment, there's definitely an adjustment in playing in new circumstances and playing on different courts in general. But I think the guys are relishing the opportunity to replay against Auburn, because not only do we want to win, we want to show them how much we've improved since the last time we played.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, first of all, congratulations on what you all have accomplished. Good luck on Saturday. And send this message to Corley. Tell him NCAA tournament equals coaches bonus.
Oh yeah, I will pass that along from you.
Absolutely.
Sure from you.
And then let me know what his reaction is.
All right, I will. Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me on.
Thank you
See
for
you, buddy.
coming on.
Good luck. Congrats.
Belmont tennis coach Jeff Cero, he should be excited. It's a cool story.
That is a cool story, man. That's awesome for a smaller school like Belmont to get in there. And hey, you never know. All you want is a chance, and if you get a chance, you never know what's going to happen.
By the way, they've got a beautiful facility.
Oh, I've seen it.
Crockett Center.
Yeah.
That thing's awesome.
Yeah. It's very nice. Okay. First of all, to Greg Sage, thank you for kind of steering this story to us. Good stuff. After the break, I did visit the Titan House today. I have taken notes from my visit. Here they are. I will be as honest and as transparent as I possibly can be. We're in a stalemate. I'll explain it when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, so here goes on my visit today to Titan House. And let me say up front, look, I've been a strong critic of this. I think it's wrong. I've thought it's wrong all along. That said, I'm a 27-year season ticket holder of the Titans. I'm a 27-year season ticket holder of the Preds. On the Titans end, I bought the tickets mostly as sort of a gift to my dad. And he passed away in 2010. I kept the tickets. As I've gotten a little older, oftentimes I sit out in the stands as opposed to sitting in the press box. It is more fun. With the Predators, I'll admit when I bought them on day one, I didn't know the first thing about hockey and cared even less. My attitude wasn't very good going in, but I don't know, about 3 years into it, suddenly something clicked, and I think we all know the rest, and I've become a really big hockey fan. My intention today was to sort of see what the price tag is, sort of do some shopping, see if there's a way to do this without going into bankruptcy. Because, as Tony said, I'm a radio sports talk show host. Not a lot of them, are millionaires. Certainly not me. So my intention today was to see if I could make something work out of the deal. Here's one of the things that royally pisses me off. Personal seat license. There isn't anything personal about the personal seat license. It simply is not yours other than the 10 Titans games a year that you paid dearly for. All the other events, things like potentially the NCAA Final Four, all kinds of great events, you're not given the first option to your seat, even though it's personal my butt. It's not. And the person sitting in that seat for all those other events, he doesn't have to pay a friggin' dime. You who buy the PSL are paying all the freight. I brought that up today. Why is that the case? And I got the scripted answer. Nobody else does it. I then said, so you all can't rise above the minimum? You can't do a solid for your ticket holders who put out PSL money? And you'll find one of the things that is frustrating is they're very scripted with their answers. You get a lot of, well, this is how Buffalo does it, and this is how Cleveland does it. And the young lady who had to deal with me, extremely nice. She treated me really well. But I made it clear to her, I don't give a damn what goes on in Buffalo. And I don't give a damn what goes on in Cleveland. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And I expect something better. I expect a level of Southern hospitality to be shown to all of us. That's part of the charm of this city. But if you're looking for that in this process, think again. So here's where it got down to kind of the stalemate. So, Billy, if you want to put up the graph, I guess, the picture of the stadium. So in Nissan, I'm in section 333, row 6, 25-yard line, really good sight line. In this diagram, you see a lighter shade of blue that is a 300 level, and above that is a 400 level. So there are different price points for that. There are decidedly different price points if you move to the end zone. And so about the time she thinks she's about to close the deal, I made it clear to her, look, I'm not buying squat today. I'm here shopping. So why don't you give me a list of all the prices? I'll go home and I'll decide what fits best my budget. Well, you would have thought that I had broken the Geneva Convention, whatever that is. We can't do that. Why the hell not? Well, we just don't, And I said, I got news for you. I am not going to do what it is you're trying to make people do. which is an emotional buy with no thought of budget. I don't operate that way. Now, when they bring you in, they show you all the two-tone blue and all the great moments from the past. There are some. I will say, I think it's very ballsy on their end that they are trying to essentially take the season ticket price after you pay for the PSL and almost double it from what it is now. And I said to her, I said, have you watched your product? Your product sucks. You are in no position to be demanding this kind of money. You don't deserve it. Your product doesn't warrant it. So we're in sort of, and so I made it clear to her. I said, look, I'm open to doing some business with you, but I am not willing to have a 2-minute phone call with you in 3 days so I can see those prices for 2 more minutes and make a decision. You're either going to show me all the prices where I can compare what the prices are for the season ticket and the PSL and decide from my budget what I can afford. And she gave me the nobody else is asked. And I said, I don't give a damn whether anybody's asked or not. I'm asking, and that's how I operate. I'm a tightwad. So that's a little bit of where we are. Now let me get to what I think are the culprits in this. Because clearly from the prices I've seen, most of the stadium has been priced out of the common man. This is now a stadium for the rich. They're not going to say that, but it is. You get into the lower level and the second level, it's simply for the rich. And the rest of you can watch it on TV. And the sad thing is they don't give a damn. That's what really hurts. So let's talk about who the culprits are. There are two. The first is the Titans president, Burke Nihill. Burke Nihill has fired virtually half of Nashville in the 4.5 years he's been here. In normal circumstances, I would be asking Burke to come on the show and say, explain to me what you all are up to. That's the way I try to operate. Even if I disagree, have the person on, give them their say. I made that attempt last May, and for about the 4th or 5th time since he's been here, he completely ignored me. And so I've gotten to the point where I no longer attempt to communicate with him. I made it, what I'm telling you on the air today, I told him in no uncertain terms in a face-to-face that was not very pleasant in January. I made it clear to him that I think he has an obligation when media people call seeking answers to questions that he needs to act, respond. We are a conduit to y'all. They're a conduit to us. So, number one, his level of greed for this organization and of screwing people over that have had season tickets for 25, 26, 27 years is, in my mind, obscene. He is problem number one. Problem number two, nobody ever brings up. It's the Metro Council. Let me explain where I'm going with that. As a friend of mine said yesterday, teams have a right to charge whatever they want to charge, and you have the right to make a decision to either purchase or not purchase. And most of the time I agree with that, except for one thing. They are using our tax money to screw us over. We have given them hundreds of millions of dollars for this stadium. The Metro Council owed it to the citizens of this city to ask hard questions. What are you going to charge? How are you going to do this? We're not comfortable with this. Let's go back to the drawing board. Instead, the Metro Council farted on this. They absolutely were nowhere to be found with any questions. I've had one council person just openly admit that to me. I've had another who tried to tell me it was my fault for not contacting him to give him the pitfalls. And as I told him, I said, you're the one that wanted to run, not me. It's your obligation. It's your job, not mine. So the Metro Council did nothing to protect you and me from this level of greed. They're using our money, our taxpayer money, and then have decided to double dip as though that wasn't enough and completely screw us over. And Kelly, I got a problem with that.
George, I hear you, man. I do. And I go back to what I've said months ago. Like, when you're dealing with big time businesses like the NFL right now, and the NFL is that's where it's at right now. It used to be the pastime. The pastime used to be baseball. And I know you're a baseball guy, but football is where it is. You look at the draft; they have 3 days. People watch it nonstop. They've made a huge business out of this thing from what they started back in the day. And I hate it for fans, man. I hate it for you, but that's just that somebody will buy it, and they know that because the sport is so fabulous right now, and everybody loves watching it. They're betting on it. They're doing things that they used to could not do. We just had a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, which they used to always say Vegas was. We're not going to do that, and they just they're having all that stuff. They got a team in Vegas now, and it's all about money, George. And unfortunately for the family of four that loved going to games and all that, they're being squeezed out because it's becoming unaffordable now. George, you're absolutely right. It's like I can't even imagine going to a game because you have to pay for your tickets. Then you got it's astronomical to go in and get a hot dog and a Coke or a water or something for your whole family. Like, it's just, and then you got to pay for parking. There's just so many things that goes on, George, but they know that the NFL right now is at its all-time high, and it's a big business, and they understand that if you don't want to do it and thousands of other people don't want to do it, well, they got thousands waiting in the wing to fill that void, and I hate that. It's my business. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I played it for 13 years. I can remember when we would have NFLPA meetings. I told somebody this today because we were talking about the same thing. And they used to tell us, hey, we don't care if people don't come to the games. We just need that TV revenue. And back then it was $4 billion, and that was 20 years ago. Can you imagine what it is now? I mean, they've got so much stuff on TV. Every game's on TV. I can remember being a child. I used to watch the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns, but that was the game of the week, and that was the only thing you saw. And now every game is televised. It's just the money is astronomical, George, and they know that they've got you. If you don't want to do it, well, they've got 30 people waiting in the wings to fill that void.
I don't think they do. I think
you might be right. I don't know.
Bad enough. Look, they feed you a lot of happy talk about all the tickets they're selling. Billy, by the way, if you got any questions on this, feel free.
Well, I was going to add, here's what's going to, and there's a double George.
Yeah,
again.
We don't need that.
Here is what's going to happen. The Rams Stadium, for example.
SoFi
Stadium. They have zero home field advantage. Zero.
Right.
There's a couple others. Who are the others that they just you build these new stadiums and there's zero home field advantage. That's
the Rams is the worst.
No, it's awful
of the new ones.
Yeah.
When San Fran goes in there, boy, it feels like it. Yeah, and that's what we're headed toward.
Yep.
And
you may be right.
When that happens, Burke Nihill, this is the guy that tailored all of this. And he's the one that ought to be held responsible. Now, am I open to some scenario in the future where he and I deal with each other? Sure. But I am not willing to put up with not having phone calls or text returned. And as I said earlier, this is something that I have said straight to his face as of January because I'm fed up with it. The sad thing is, this was when I went in there today, There was an option that I came very close to pulling the trigger on of 2 tickets. And they sort of lost me with you don't have the right to shop it to your budget, to have in front of you the prices.
This is what you're paying. That's
right. What they want is an emotional, you get, two-tone blue, whatever you want, I'm in. Well, no, I'm not. I got a budget that I got to live by, like most of you out there that have a budget you have to live on. And for them not to be willing to share with you those figures is bullcrap. It just simply is. And the excuse that, well, no one else has asked. Well, I don't really give a damn. I'm not worried about everybody else. I'm worried about me. Nobody else pays my house note, and I'm not asking anybody to, George, let's help you. But I'm just saying, look, we all have to pay our own freight. We all have to live under our own budgets. And to not be allowed to shop and compare, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've talked to.
Sorry, Billy, go ahead.
I've talked to countless people that have the same opinion, and a few big business owners that might have had a suite at Nissan, but they're not carrying it over, and this could be a problem. I mean, you're not alone. You're not even close to being alone in this.
I know that, and they paint. Go ahead, Kelly.
Go ahead, George.
Well, they try to paint this rosy picture, and it's just not true.
Yeah, let me ask y'all this question. With all the people, because there's like 150 people a day moving into the Middle Tennessee area, the Davidson County, Wilson County, Rutherford County, all these, Williamson County, all these places, like they want to be involved in something. So, maybe they're betting on that. Maybe with the new people coming into this area and these communities, maybe they're banking on these people want to be part of something, and that maybe these old fans that have been with us the whole time, they're weeding themselves out. Well, we can get a new group of people that's coming in, and maybe they're advertising to them. I don't know, but what do y'all think about that?
That new group is, look, you take a radius around whatever. 15, 20-mile radius around Nashville, there's an argument. There's just as many true Titan fans as there are Cowboy fans. I mean, I'm probably off base on that, but it's probably not far off. If you gauged and you took a poll or whatever, Packers, Cowboys, I mean, they're everywhere. So that new base is going to be the road teams. I think it's going to be ugly.
I worry about that. Let me say this last thing, then we'll go to the break and we'll take some phone calls and get some reaction. I brought up the Metro Council. Our mayor was part of that Metro Council. He and those other 40 absolutely farted on this issue. They didn't do a lick of homework. They should be ashamed of what their role in this was, because they sold all of us down the river. Okay, your phone calls, your reactions, whatever. 615-553-0933. That's our number. Again, 615-553-0933. How do they text you?
Chat room's open. We got a couple already, but get them flowing. We got YouTube chat open, Twitter and Facebook as well. Just swipe down or swipe up, rather. You can get your questions in, and we'll get them over.
This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Of unforgettable moments. Join us for the 10th anniversary celebration all season long. Tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Today was my visit to Titan House, and in trying to be fair, the prices on the PSLs in the upper deck were more reasonable. What's going on downstairs is a joke. What's going on upstairs is a little more reasonable, but for people in my income level, you got to really think about it. And they don't want to allow you that. And as I told him today, I said, as long as that's your rule, I'm not playing ball with you. Let's go to the phones. Eric, you're up first on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, George, I was going to tell you, I went about a month ago, and the guy I talked to I believe his name was Brandon Yunker. And I told him I was on a fixed income, and they showed me some prices and stuff like that. And I told him, well, that's insane. I can't afford that. The cheapest prices, again, I'm like you. I saw those, and I really have to think about it. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to renew or not because, of course, I'm getting the one ticket because I couldn't afford 2 tickets. But, of course, the cheapest PSL is like $5,000, which means I'd have to pay another $4,000 for PSL. And as far as season tickets, it would mean my season ticket would go up by about like $40. And I've not made the decision. I'm glad I don't have to make it now because they said the guy basically was telling me I still wouldn't have to make any type of payments for about another 2 or 3 years. So I still don't know if I'm going to do it. There's possibility I might. I also could maybe sell my PSL because there's people I know, like I have relatives and friends who still go to the games. They still may do it and just sell them like where I sell my PSL and they just give me $4,000 because I still have the $1,000 I paid into it. I just don't want to lose that. But I'm like you. I've been going to these season ticket holders since 2000. So, and I'm definitely going to do since it's still in Nissan for next year. This coming season, the season after that, but I just don't know. But that was kind of my experience when I went about a month ago.
Thanks for sharing it.
All right. We'll talk
Let
to
me
you
know
later.
what you end up doing. Okay, Billy, let's go comment, and then we'll go back to the phones.
Somebody on YouTube said, George, this is your greatest 15 minutes in your long history on the air. I have boycotted the NFL since Kaepernick took the knee. I'd be fine trading the Titans to St. Louis for the Cardinals.
And that's not the way I want to feel. Look, I want to be excited about the new dome. I think we're going to get a ton of great stuff in here. I want what's best for our city, but I'll be damned if I want to get fleeced or have a gun put to my head. I don't owe them that.
That's tough right there. The Kaepernick situation. I can understand that, but like you want sports teams bring so much money to the community and you would hate to see them go to St. Louis or somewhere like that, like he's talking about, but it's I get your pain. I understand that. It was my business for 13 years, and I loved it. But it's just like everything else in our society right now, George. It's getting crazy going to the grocery store. It's getting crazy for gas. It's ridiculous the inflation that's coming on, and unfortunately, we the people, we the consumer, are the ones that take up all of it.
We the people, in order to form what was that?
A more perfect union.
A more perfect union. Thank you. Frank is up next. Frank, welcome in.
Good afternoon, George and Billy and Kelly. George, what you've had to say has really got me fired up, and at the same time, nothing you said shocks me. It's everything I have already heard from other people that have been there. I just find it almost absolutely inconceivable and just unfathomable, try to say that fast 3 times. Anyway, that they will not give you a price list. How in the, let me choose my words carefully, how are we supposed as consumers to make a decision on that? Because you know what, George, like most people, I don't have just $100,000 lying around growing on a palm tree outside my condo in Florida. Okay, I don't. I mean, and it sounds like to me they won't. I just can't understand how they can't give you a list of prices on what these seats cost and what the season ticket costs and say, take a look at this. I mean, this, and let us know. Here's my business card. I just cannot believe that. And
I was told that I would get a phone call in a couple of days and I could take a look at the prices again during that phone call. And I said, I'm not playing this game with you. I said, this is BS and I'm not putting up with it.
That's exactly what I will tell them when my time comes, if I even go. There's a lot of me that, quite honestly, I'm sitting here thinking about this while, listening to what you had to say and what Kelly and Billy have had to say. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to look a lot like Los Angeles or Las Vegas does, right? It's going to be a home field team disadvantage. I personally think tickets aren't going to be on the secondary market as well as single game tickets. You know what? Atlanta, the first year that Mercedes-Benz Stadium opened in Atlanta, they had plenty of single game tickets. In my humble opinion, why am I going to buy PSLs? I think there's always going to be tickets available. I really do. Unless this team all of a sudden turns into the New England Patriots of the Tom Brady years and starts being in the postseason every year for 20 years in a row. I think there's always going to be tickets. I don't. And if the team's not very good, we all know how easy it is to get a ticket now, if the team's not very good. So,
hey, Frank, let me do this because I got a bunch of you on here. I want to get to a few more. So let's continue the conversation down the road.
I appreciate you guys listening to me, and thank you for sharing your experience today, George. Just on behalf of all of us out here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee that are Titans PSL holders and the current ones, thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely. Daniel asked about prices in the upper deck. I'm going through my notes here. You could get as low as a $750 PSL in the corners of the end zone. You could get more in the $3,000 and $2,500 range per PSL in the non-50-yard line parts of the upper deck. But the actual season ticket that you would purchase, it looks like they're going up anywhere from 70 to 100% from what you would pay to see this year's championship roster. Yeah, that was a little shot there. Okay, what do you got, Billy?
This all of a sudden, I want this show to last another hour.
No, you don't.
Let's see. Bob says Georgia right on. They don't care. It already seems like we do not have a home field advantage. More fans of opposing teams than ours. Stormy says extremely well said. My family will not be spending a dime.
Wow.
And yeah, but Randy,
I'm sure that's a lot of the sentiment.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different from Randy. He said he went yesterday. It was like going to a timeshare sales job. I did buy mine and surprised it was not as high as I was expecting. seems they would give you the price info up front. So not as high as he was expecting.
Good.
Now, did these change from your last experience at Titan House?
I've never been to Titan House. This was it today.
Okay, I thought this was a return trip.
Oh no, I've never been.
Okay.
Let's see, where are we going next phone wise? Let's go Tony on line 3. Tony, give me a couple of minutes if you can.
I applaud you with what you going over there and meeting with them. I was a season ticket holder from day one, gave them up on my 10th, 11th year. I had the same issue, George. I used to say the same thing about the PSL back when we originally bought them. And CMAs was every time you looked up, they always had the CMAs in there or they had a big concert. But we were the only person that ever had to pay that PSL, the original amount. And I know now it's even higher. So I have not been a season ticket holder since then. I don't miss it. Watch it from home. Always can pick up another game if they've been like we've seen them over the years do bad. So that is, I feel for all the season ticket Titan season ticket holders. I know many, and it's just I just think they've just making a total mockery out of whatever's going on, trying to get to the stadium and making everybody pay for it, so on and so forth. Another quick thing I want to touch on is I don't know if y'all saw it this Sunday, but the Bill Belichick interview on CBS Sunday morning, they did that, and his little girlfriend, Jordan, who's 24 years old, his granddaughter, he went and he got her, she was in school with his other grandchildren, apparently. She wouldn't let them talk about how they met. She said that was not what they were going to talk about. And they've got all these pictures of showing him now on the beach and doing the Pilates poses and stuff. He's losing it with this 24-year-old girl. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it's really a joke.
Yeah,
and the last thing I want to touch on, Kelly, we don't talk much NASCAR here, but I heard something that I could not believe this weekend. Now, I've been to Talladega. I've drove around the racetrack. I've done all kind of stuff. But that track, guys, they said is so big that you can put all 16 SEC football stadiums in it.
Good Lord.
Big racetrack to put 16 SEC football stadiums inside of one track. So
that's
I
big.
just heard that. But George, kudos to you, buddy. Kudos.
Hey, thank you.
I'll let you get to another call or a text. See you guys.
Let's go Clay in Nashville. Clay, give me a couple of minutes if you can.
Sure. Thanks for taking my call, George. I was a PSL holder from the beginning through 2004. And I believe, is that not the year that after the season, it was kind of like Black Monday. They got rid of Steve McNair, Derek Mason, Samari Roll, all those. Wasn't that after 2004?
I think you're right. It was salary cap, get out of salary cap jail.
Yeah. So, Derek Mason was probably him and Keith Bullock. I have both of their jerseys. I would wear, one game I would wear Derek Mason's, one game I would wear Keith Bullock's. I kind of rotated back and forth. But Derek Mason particularly, I just had a ton of respect for that guy because, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but he was a dadgum good wide receiver. And he's a really nice guy who still lives in this area. At times, I've missed going since then. Most of the time I have not. Certainly right now I don't. And I had this argument with a friend of mine, a while back. He seemed to think that, the tickets were going to sell, really good and all that. But what I do know is the tickets are going to be really, really expensive, and the team has not been, any good. And I think this team does need to get a lot better before this new stadium opens, because if people are going to pay that money, to go watch a team play football, then you better put a pretty good product on the field. That's just my take. And also, George, I wanted to let you know
that's an arrogance from Burke Nihill that says we don't give a damn what you think. We got ours, and now we're going to screw you over. That's what that is.
I just wanted to share with you real quick, George. I had a conversation at the Alley Pub last night with a huge Braves fan, like you and I are, and I told him he did not know where, you were as far as on the radio now. He was interested in that, though, so I certainly told him. I told him that I'm a regular caller, and so I try to put this show out there for you guys because I think it's a great show, and I just wanted to share that.
Thanks for being our agent. Let me get Bob real quickly. Bob, I got about a minute and a half, and I apologize. It's no more than that.
Well, you know me, I'm going to be short-winded. I talk to you every Monday when you show up, but you're dead right on it. That is not a personal seat. We should have it year-round for every event. We should have the first right of refusal. And like you, I've been a long-time supporter of them from day one, and I think you're right on it. You carried the banner to get the Preds here, and I want you to continue your fight, young man, because this thing is not fair.
I wish I were a young man. Hey, thank you for the call. Let me say this. Here's what I don't understand. They admit that they will do this for their suite holders. Their suite holders get priority to any event. So they have the software capability. They just don't give a damn.
Yeah. I agree with Bob on that, man. I mean, I think you should have first right of refusal on everything that comes in there if you're going to buy those PSLs.
Okay, we're going to get to Plaster Bet of the Day.
Are we getting to it now?
Yes, we are.
Here we go. Bet of the Day brought to you by Bart Durham
This
Injury.
is so you can afford these things.
Yes. Bart Durham Injury Law. We'll take a look at what happened last night. And it was a win and a loss. Got a win with the Florida Panthers in wild fashion, but Golden State a half point off from covering last night. It was a heck of a game.
That sucked.
Heck of a game.
Great game. Did you?
I watched almost the whole thing.
Hold on a second.
You didn't watch that,
didn't
Kelly.
even watch.
I'm making fun of Billy. I understand that. Do you not get that? Heck of a game. Heck of a game. I'm just repeating what Billy said.
Wow.
No, I did not. I told you I went to sleep at 9:30.
Good Lord. Stay up. Be an adult. For God's sake.
I had to get up early, man. I got priorities. Like, you can't stay up in the dorm like you did listening to guys cut hair at 1 o'clock in the morning, then get up at 5 and go run. You can't do that anymore.
Thanks for sharing that. Kelly, we have 4 plays tonight.
4. Wow. Okay.
4. Let's start in the NBA. Indiana. They're going to close out Milwaukee. Milwaukee has given up. Got beat at home in the game that was going to sort of decide whether this was really a series or not. They got beat by about 30. Giannis, gone. Greek boy, making big money. He's the one Greek boy making money. I think Indiana covers. They're just simply the better team. Now, let's go to the Garden. The Knicks. Or as Marv Albert would have said, we're taking the Knicks minus the 5.5.
I didn't hear that. Do that again, George.
The Knicks!
That does sound like him. Does Billy even know who he is, George? You think?
He might
Yes,
not.
I do.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm not 12, Kelly.
You sound like you're 12. All you got to do is call your phone. I've told you to change that answer, that deal on your answering machine. You sound like you're 10. Change it.
Again, taking on water late in the show. Here's the late game. I don't know why I think Denver's winning this. The Clippers have been the slightly better team in this series. This is a 4 versus a 5. I think Denver wins, but barely. Like that much.
Okay.
The big man, the Joker, he's the reason.
Jokic.
And then one hockey game. The Kings at home. They've just been better than Edmonton. I don't know why. I don't know what is gone. Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. You would think Edmonton would be the better team. They haven't been. I know we got to get out of here.
Yeah, is that shocking to you, George?
Yeah, very much so. I know we got to get out of here. Vanderbilt baseball an hour earlier than you might have thought because weather is coming in. They play a very good Indiana State. Play-by-plays coming up on 94.9 The Fan.